Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, persons of all ages, welcome to the most exclusive group in the wrestling community. And now, your hosts, first, from Oaxaca, Puerto Rico, Macho Rodriguez, and his tag team partner from New Brunswick, Canada, God's King, Tyler.
¿Cómo estamos, mi gente? Welcome to another edition of Must Love Wrestling as we are in weekly Wrestle Talk 12. This is pretty exciting. Tyler, how have you been? How was your week?
It was pretty good, not too bad. Just ready to get into it. Although I was thinking when they were doing the intro, do you ever think like when they introduce somebody from some town and the town's just like, we don't want to claim this, jabroni?
No, I think people are pretty happy in Toa that they probably have somebody get announced. That's probably what I'm looking at.
Yeah. I just assumed that they were.
I mean, you live in like the Johnstown of Canada.
I meant like me, but
yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're excited. They're like, oh shit, like this guy, he's the guy that beat up a moose, so they're all excited about it. Yeah.
I think I'd take the moose in that fight.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're going to jump right into it. We have a pretty big show for you today. We're going to jump right in with Sting's announcement, guys. I mean, let's talk about it. Sting announced last week on Dynamite that this is his final year of professional wrestling. And obviously, a lot of people have come back and forth with all these comments, wondering who's his last match going to be against, who's he going to work the rest of the year, how many times is he going to work? And as someone who's a lifelong Sting fan of the past 34 years, I got to be honest, it's bittersweet for me. I think he's earned the right to retire and walk away from the business. He's provided so much for it, but at the same time, I don't want to see him go. What about you, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, especially I feel like his run in AEW as far as his in-ring performance and the stories that he's been given has been really good. That's one thing that we can't say that they've fumbled the bag on is they brought in the guy like Sting and they've used him very like a special attraction. And every time he's been in the ring, they've done things to make sure he's protected.
Yes.
And so he's had a great run. I think he's obviously deserves to go out the way he wants to go out. I think his last match will be against Darby.
Agreed.
To be honest. I think he'll probably put Darby over. And then call it a day.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. That's his way out of the business, is just kind of put over the last guy you helped make. And obviously Darby's been going for a while now, but no one has been more important to Darby Allin's career than Steve Borden himself. I mean, it's clear that that's his intention. He even said it in the MJF promo where he talks about mentors and how he says that his job is to mentor Darby. So, I mean, I don't know. I definitely feel like it feels like something is being ripped away from me. Being such a big fan of his and just trying to like relive all of my favorite Sting moments in professional wrestling and what are my favorite matches. And I'm sure that towards the as we get closer to his retirement, I'm sure we'll come on here, we'll do like our top 10 list of like our favorite Sting moments and matches and stuff like that. But for now, we're just going to stay here and we're just going to, we just wanted to make sure that people knew about the announcement. But moving on from there was a pretty telling photo where it has Sting facing the hard cam. And while he's giving his address to the fans to let them know, we are seeing behind the hard cam, we're seeing what everybody's seeing at home. But there's been photos taken of Sting because as fans do, it might be one of the last times they see Sting in a ring. And the photo has a empty section, and Sting had to address the fans and announce his retirement from professional wrestling in front of a mildly crowded arena. And it just brings me to, like, you know, what is AEW doing to their fan base? Like, what do you think they could do to pack the arenas again?
Well, the first thing is this past week Dynamite was in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
They've had so many wrestling shows there in the past like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I know they had the Raw before SummerSlam was there. I believe AEW has been there a couple of times. Like, a lot of times it's just a case of they're seeing. In this case, I think it's partially that they're just getting so much product. Plus, they have, you know, Booker T's promotion there.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe sometimes they're just like, why do I need to go see this? They're here every other week.
Yeah. I mean,
Pittsburgh had that problem for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this mildly yesterday on the phone, where maybe they just need to scale down the arenas. Like, pick, you know, like ECW had the Hammerstein Ballroom in, you know, New York City, and that wasn't a very big arena. You can watch literally anything. Like, I watched a sold out Ring of Honor versus New Japan show, and it barely had, you know, maybe like 1,000 people in it, but it looked packed. Like, if it was being recorded, it was packed. Like, you couldn't move. And I'm wondering, like, why AEW is not doing the same thing. Because if you're a consumer watching it on television and you see, like, oh, I wonder why the camera never goes in that direction. Why, when guys wrestle, do they always stay looking in this one angle instead of circling around and watching everything? It always just sticks out to me as, like, I don't think it's very appealing to the consumer at home either.
Maybe. I like I told you, the show that they did here, they did it at the College Arena, and it was packed. Like, you couldn't move.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just one of those things where we just kind of, we talked about this a little bit last night, so I guess we'll bring it to the show. WWE has fans that are keyboard warriors and internet, like, truthers, and then they have a completely different fan base for the people that go live in attendance. And
Right.
AEW only has one fan base. It's the people that are on the internet saying that they're watching the best wrestling in the world. Every single time Will Ospreay or Kenny Omega wrestles, it's the match of the year. Yet they're not showing up for shows. And
No, I disagree. I think those people are showing up for shows, but I think they're the only ones that are.
yes, because I don't think they're appealing to a broader audience. I think they're appealing to those people. And as it's pointed out, you know, recently, it feels as if a massive shift has happened in AEW with the departure of CM Punk. As you see CM Punk right now, he's become more like, now he does junkets for heels. He's in an upcoming movie. He does MMA stuff. And every time he's there, professional wrestling fans follow him everywhere. When are you coming back to wrestling? What promotion are you going to? There's TNA that offered him a new contract, or they offered him a contract. And he was backstage at the last pay-per-view that they had. And, you know, I know a lot of people felt like, oh, we won. We won, like, you know, the Young Bucks beat CM Punk. We won. We got him out of here. We got the cancer out of the building, without realizing that he took his fans with him. Like, Young Bucks fans, it's not a big enough audience. Punk has a big enough audience. He did pack arenas.
So then he just gets to act however he wants, and, like, you can't deny he was an issue.
Mm-hmm. Does
Like,
Donald Trump pack? Does he pack, like, stadiums?
and if you had the chance to fire him, would you not?
Sure, but he packs stadiums, right? Controversy creates cash. People want to see what he's going to do next.
Sure.
And that's the thing. Like, but CM Punk is not that. CM Punk is not that much of a cancer, and he was labeled that way. There was a frame job done on him of sorts. Like he was made to be this super bad person backstage. And yet after he was let go, so many wrestlers have come out that are actually sad he's gone.
Right.
So
He
it's
had
like,
his people, and then he had the people that didn't like him. But how many incidents did he have? And he was only there with injury time. He was only there like total of a year.
but for 7 years, fans wanted CM Punk. For 7 years, they followed him everywhere. They followed him to Blackhawks games. I mean, he's doing the intro for the Chicago Blackhawks right now before the actual game starts now. Like he's doing that like Rocky does the intro for the link for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, he's bigger than AEW. And the fact that they couldn't just put their differences aside and say, like, this is bad for business for us to lose this guy. It just speaks to the level of immaturity of the people that run that company.
Okay, so you keep him there, and then this continues for how long do you let it continue before you're finally just like, look, it's not worth it?
I mean, they should have given the fans the opportunity to make that decision for them. They took Punk away. And I said this to you before, and I'll say it again. That Samoa Joe comment after the incident, right? Like how Samoa Joe was like, I've been in a lot of high tense situations. That was nothing. You know, like you're talking about a guy that got into a fist fight with Kevin Nash backstage because he made a shitty comment about Scott Hall on TNA television because Scott Hall didn't show up to an event. I mean, he's been in a real situation fighting a 7-foot man and having to be separated by those people. And they made it work. Like him and Nash, they squashed their beef. I really feel like, you know, this was a clubhouse like in the Sandlot, you know, like, you know, the forever, like in the little like tree clubhouse where the Young Bucks have their clubhouse and they're like, no, we want this company run our way. And we don't want a guy like Punk here. He outshines us. And as From the Dungeon says here, which is very true, CM Punk is the most talked about wrestler in sports right now. Everybody wants to know where he's going.
Okay, but
I mean, we have the platform, Tyler. Speak your piece.
I just don't I just don't know how. Like, you act like he had nothing to do with it. Like he just was an innocent victim.
I didn't say that. At no
That's what it
point in
sounds
these
like.
12 minutes and 51 seconds have I said that. No. I even compared him to Donald Trump. There are lots
but
of
still, how long do you let it go?
like I said, I would have let the fans decide. I would have let the fans turn on him. Get him off my television. That
But if
didn't
the
happen.
fans turn on him, then he's just a heel.
No.
They're
I
not
believe
going to turn on him because they love him.
Okay, well, I mean, what's not to love? He's phenomenal in the ring. He's one of the best talkers of all time, probably top 2 or 3 talker all time. And he brought broader eyes to the business. I mean, the Young Bucks have an independent crowd. It's very similar to what we're watching right now with Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He's not a global talent. He's not somebody who translates outside of professional wrestling, which is why I think Jay White matters. Because right now, Jay White is bringing over New Japan fans. They followed him. Like, I'll tell you, I'll be honest here. I'm going to tell you, you could timestamp it. 14 minutes here. Jay White is not better than MJF, but he's more global and he's more interesting. And he doesn't need to knock the other company to get over. He doesn't need to pretend he's Andrew Dice Clay in 1985. He can actually go out there and cut a promo and get everybody excited for his match. And Max doesn't do that. If you look at it, and somebody pointed this out to me on TikTok, the issue with Max is that there's no development in his character. And that the issue is that whenever Max wrestles somebody, we care more about the person he's wrestling than him. That's a big deal.
Well, for the majority of his career, he's been a heel, so that's been his job.
Okay, but he's not a heel. He's a babyface. He wanted to be a babyface. He wants to be that Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage of 1980. He wants to bring back that level of professional wrestling, and it's not working.
And I think you care more about Jay White than him, but I don't think that's a majority sentiment.
There are There's lots of traffic on Jay White. There's lots of retweets. I pay attention every time Jay White and Bullet Club Gold do something. And just the fact that he's using the name Bullet Club is doing something. And when I've made the comment to you, I feel like I stole the championship thing has made the title more relevant than Max did, because Max made the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships more relevant than his world title.
See, I don't get that. I don't get that logic. Like when Roman Reigns doesn't defend the title, it's more irrelevant and it only matters because it's on him. When Max doesn't defend the title, it's irrelevant.
Because the commentators, because the company has done everything in their power to draw us in with subliminal messaging. Who's going to beat Roman? Will anybody ever beat Roman? It's the tribal chief. He's the guy. There's nothing like this about Max. They don't talk about him unless he's on television.
Okay, so then that's partially the people that are booking it's fault, not just his.
As I said right at the 3-minute mark, it's a company that's filled with immature people who don't know how to run this company. They refuse to do things. There's a reason Cody Rhodes left. And as Diamond Dallas Page said on his podcast, they made a mistake letting Cody go. We clearly know that's true. And as Diamond Dallas Page said, they had a white-hot babyface in Wardlow. They killed him themselves. Wardlow didn't kill himself. I should say Wardlow didn't kill his character. I'm sorry. I don't want to misspeak. I don't want to say like something, catchy on here. He didn't kill his character. They did that for him. They had him so hot where he could have been like this version of Goldberg. And they were like, nah, we just want to continue to rock with it. Like Patty Reekin says it over on Working the Marks all the time. The biggest mistake that AEW ever did was that when they started the company, they had a list of people that were going to be world champions after each other. And we're clearly seeing it. Like they've never deviated. They've never said, this guy's hotter, let's put the title on that guy.
Right. That is an issue. They need to be able to pivot and make decisions on the fly. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I think the Wardlow thing, though, I think he got injured and they just had to get the TNT title off of him. And unfortunately, I guess he couldn't take an L. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
There are ways around injuries. We watched it with CM Punk. He was still able to cut promos before his injury was too bad. We watched Kenny Omega be a world heavyweight champion, the belt collector, and him barely work, but he was at every show. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no...
Right, but Wardlow was gone for quite a while.
Yeah, I agree with you. And they could have brought him back equally as hot, have him come back, win the title immediately, win the TNT title back. And that was another thing that killed him is how do you have this guy come out, squash MJF with like 15 power bombs? They even named it, right? It's called the Powerbomb Symphony. Is that what they call it? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, they decided, you know what? We don't need this anymore. We're going to rock with the guys we have. And yeah, I mean, from the dungeon, I agree with you. I think
that's just not true. That's not true.
But it is true.
It isn't true. Their ratings have only dipped when let's go. Faced with competition from MLB and WWE.
Okay. Ratings and live attendance have both dipped, and it's been since he's been gone.
Their ratings were holding steady until the last few weeks when they faced the NXT where WWE decided to break out the All-Star team, and you can't deny it's true.
I'm not.
And when MLB playoffs started, until then, they were rated in that same 850, 875K.
Yeah. But the thing is, WWE didn't do anything crazy. They didn't do anything special. They used
really? They didn't bring back The Undertaker, who's been retired and hasn't been on TV since like January?
I mean, The Undertaker came out and chokeslammed LA Knight, and everybody was pretty happy about that. And he put over Bray Wyatt in the ring, and everybody was pretty happy about that. That's what he just did. He put over Carmelo Hayes. We talked about it on the podcast.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't do anything special. Like they brought back a guy who hasn't been there since.
Who is Undertaker employed by?
So because they have all these stars, they can just bring them into their. That's like the Yankees would be like, okay, well, we need to win this minor league game tonight, so I'm gonna send down Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton just to make sure that we beat the friggin' Toledo Mudhens.
But that's not the same thing.
How is it not the same thing? That's exactly what they did.
I would equate what they did to what Pat McAfee does on Tuesdays. Aaron Rodgers has his segment. I would equate it to Monday Night Football having the Manning cast. Like, we're carving out like, let's bring back the nostalgic, the old school fans to follow them, and hey, come take a look at this product. We talked about it before that Tuesday Night War happened. We said that John Cena and Paul Heyman were not there for ratings. John Cena and Paul Heyman were there so that way the people that watch Raw and SmackDown could be like, oh, Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes, these are going to be the future of the company. Let's go watch these guys.
So they just conveniently did that on a night when they had competition that had nothing to do with the ratings?
But the Paul Heyman announcement was done before the Title Tuesday thing.
No, it was not.
Yeah, it was 1 week before.
And Tony Khan made that announcement on October 1st, right after the pay-per-view.
When does WWE do anything they haven't planned for? When do they deviate from plans? When do they do spur-of-the-moment stuff?
You even said yourself that they reacted because they said it was an act of war.
I saw The Undertaker as a reaction, absolutely. I thought The Undertaker was there, but when I saw the segment, I was like, oh, this is LA Knight, Bray Wyatt all over again. This is let's chokeslam LA Knight, and let's have The Undertaker put over Bray Wyatt, which is exactly what we saw at the end of that show. Everybody praised that, but now for some reason, because it's Braun and Carmelo, it's like, nah, The Undertaker was there to beat NXT. You got to pick a side.
So you don't think that, you think this was just convenient?
I think that they were already on Tuesday nights. And
it just was a coincidence?
So my question to you is, I do believe it's a coincidence because they were already on Tuesday nights. It's their night. They moved off of Wednesday because they couldn't beat AEW. They moved off. They went to a different night. They gave us more content, more days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. We have wrestling almost every single day of the week. There is AEW.
Go ahead.
There's nothing on Thursday. He picked Tuesday. He was very boisterous. We're doing this. It's my birthday. We're also naming it Title Tuesday. Adam Copeland is going to have his first promo. He immediately made it like, I'm going all out this Tuesday. We're going to crush NXT like we did before. And WWE was like, oh, I see. You're going to take our guy that we made and you're going to use him. And it didn't work. Nobody cared that a 50-year-old man was going to cut a promo. I mean, that
makes me.
It is true. The ratings showed that is true. Nobody cared.
But you're just shitting on a person that you yourself have been a fan of for years.
I have been since 1998, but nobody cared, Tyler. We have to be honest with ourselves. When Sting was World Heavyweight Champion in WCW, guess what, Tyler? Nobody gave a shit. They wanted the title on Hogan. They wanted the title on Goldberg. I'm a fan of Sting. That is my favorite wrestler ever. Nobody cared that Sting was champion. That's why he was better off rocking the Shawn Michaels thing.
I think they killed him when they didn't give him the title when he should have gotten it.
Okay, but that happens in professional wrestling, and it led to nobody caring, which is why they had champions the way they did. I mean, that's honestly what it is. It's unfortunate because it feels like AEW is doing nothing to prep their stars, which is so weird. So I want to ask you this question. If AEW is so strict on we have to have this guy's going to be champion, and then this guy's going to be champion, and then this guy's going to be champion, and they're sticking to that. They stuck to that for the first 4 years. Why? And you're saying that they should be deviating. They should do that. You're telling me this is in the playbook, that they should be like just using WWE guys, because it feels like they just wait until a guy gets released from WWE. At this point, I'm waiting for Nick Nemeth to show up on television. Like, I'm waiting for it. And that's the problem with AEW. We care more about the people that they haven't signed yet than the product we're watching on screen.
Right, but why wouldn't they sign that guy?
I'm not disagreeing that it's not a great move. I think Dolph Ziggler is one of the greatest wrestlers that's never talked about. But why do people care about WWE guys that have been released from contract more than the people that are built in the company they have?
It's the same thing as like if a a superstar player signs with the team, they're going to be more interested in that than this up and coming prospect, which is essentially what AEW homegrown talent is.
Yes, but
You know
we're
what I mean?
not. Yeah, I get
But
that.
having
but
those
we're-
guys there should theoretically benefit the up and coming guys, the homegrown talent. Theoretically, they should work with those guys, and that should help them to learn, how to be, because these guys have been on TV for years.
Yeah, I agree. No,
We cannot agree on that. That is one thing we can agree to disagree on.
We cannot agree. But it's just one of those things where it feels like I don't think Tony Khan has actually thought about how to progress this company. I think their first 4 years were so hot, or I would say 3 years. They were so hot. They were the flavor of the month. And they're still running the company like it's the first 3 years instead of being like, all right, we have to build towards something. And they started to do that with the JAS. They started to include it because, as Patty Reekin says it over on Working the Marks, I watch my 10,000 hours of professional wrestling. Give me some stories. I want to see some stories. They're not doing that. They're like, no, we want to provide you with the best wrestling ever. And that's great. If that's what you want to watch, that's awesome. But it's not translating to people watching on television, and it's not translating to people buying tickets.
Is that not literally the exact opposite argument that we've had previously, that when they start to incorporate story that you're angry and you're like, no, I want wrestling?
I am trying to give you all of the facts. So are you going to stick to the topic, or are you just going to try to, because I'm not sitting here trying to poke fun at Tyler Taylor. I'm actually sitting here trying to talk about the subject.
Like you said previously that what you want is, and I mean, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter what we want. But when I watch professional wrestling, I miss the Chris Benoit versus William Regal. I miss the Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. I miss Billy Kidman versus Juventud Guerrero. I miss those matches just watching them on my television. And that's what AEW provides for me. But the problem is, I can watch those matches on YouTube, which is why I feel like a lot of fans are doing the same thing. They're like, oh, I can just rewatch this match. Like, I'll DVR it on Sling or DirecTV or Comcast or Roku TV or YouTube TV. I can just DVR this and watch this match later if they're not going to provide me a reason to sit down on Wednesday night and watch their product. I hear what you're saying.
Ooh, that's right. I did say Lord Voldemort's name. I apologize. I'll try my best. I have dubbed him the Crippler. I just call him the Crippler now because I feel like fans understand who he means.
I was wondering if that was intentional or not.
No. I just really feel like the company itself has done a disservice to its own product by
I'm sorry. I meant the name thing.
Oh,
when we did the creator card, you just kept saying the Crippler, and I was wondering if that was intentional or not.
Yes, that was exactly what I was doing. Yes,
I got you.
Yeah, I thought it would be better and not as eye catching as the Rabid Wolverine. So
So the only thing I want to say about this is every time something happens and there's a little hiccup, we seem to just. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying in general, the wrestling community just seems to act as though the sky is falling. And like, maybe we just need to let it play out a little bit.
Isn't the sky falling?
I don't think so.
You think that's a good look for Sting?
No.
No,
it's not a good look. But like, things happen. I've been to TV shows where there's like, I literally started in the balcony, and by the end of the show, I was in the third row because there was nobody there.
Okay.
And they've ended up being all right.
Now, before we move into the mid card, I wanted to continue to touch on this MJF thing. Do you not find it interesting that Adam Cole is currently injured, and they have done everything to keep this man on television? He has his own segment carved out with Roddy. Every week, we get an Adam Cole awesome video, kind of like Being the Elite, right?
Right.
Where's the mention of Max? Where's the Max stuff? Why is he not more prevalent to television?
Max typically calls him like once or twice a week.
Yeah. but it's all about Adam Cole. Oh, why didn't Adam Cole pick up his phone call? Why did he have to hang up? Why
Because he's in the middle of they were in the middle of the hottest storyline in the company, and the guy got hurt. So
yeah, but now the guy that's
they're trying to
hurt
keep
is
it
the
going.
hottest- Yeah, but now the guy that got hurt is the most interesting part of it, and Max is cut in the middle. Right now, he's in two stories, and he's not important in either story. It's about Jay White and him stealing the title and what he's doing for the title right now, and it's about Adam Cole. And I can't wait to watch the next episode of Being Elite or whatever they call it, like Roddy, like the Odd Couple with Roddy and Adam Cole. Yeah, I think this was the intention. D, was to put the title on Adam Cole, but I don't know when we were going to get there. And it's clear because, as we're going to talk about in the next segment, it's clear that AEW had intentions of setting a new record with MJF because they've already started tweeting that at the next pay-per-view, MJF will be the longest reigning AEW champion in the company's short history.
Gee, wonder where they got that idea.
I mean, what side of the fence are you going to argue for, man?
He's only had it for a year. There's a difference in having it a year and 3 years. I'm cool with year-long title reigns. Mm-hmm. I think like after that, like within a couple months after that, we got to figure something out.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the biggest things for me is I've made this comment before, and I'll make it again. I don't think I made it on our podcast. I'm a massive movie fan. I'm a massive comic book fan as well. I am what you call a nerd. I that's what I am. I'm a nerd. I like certain anime and stuff like that. And I made this comparison last night. Marvel Studios has provided us with garbage content. We have had garbage movies. There have been some really bad movies that have come out and gone.
I don't know enough, so show your work.
Yeah. They've like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, just a bad movie.
I never saw it.
Just a bad movie. The Winter Soldier and Bucky or whatever, just a bad show. These are just bad things that Marvel is just like, let's just mass produce this stuff, right?
Yeah. I don't watch any of that. I'll go see the Avengers or Spider-Man.
But because of Iron Man, the original, because of the Avengers, perfect. We'll just stick with the Avengers since that's what you know. Because of the Avengers, everybody trusts that the next movie is going to be great. There's a built-in trust, so people are going to go shell out money, right? Like that's just like, we trust that hopefully this next project is going to be amazing, right? And with DC, which is like Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, right? These projects are bad. Yeah, Batman's great. The Robert Pattinson Batman was amazing. It was probably the best movie of that year. And HBO Max said it was the most downloaded movie for the entire year. And it's still the most downloaded movie on Max right now. That's how good that movie is. That's one thing that they gave us. That's the equivalent of Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega 2. That's the rewatchable match, right? Because that's the match you talk about. That's the match of the year. So, and then everything else they do, it's like, I don't really want to see that. I don't really care about that. And that's how AEW fans are. They're like DC fans. I'm gonna talk shit about it on the internet. You should go watch this. But then when it comes to my town, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go watch it. I'm not going to get.
Again, I think those are the people that are going. I think the trouble they're having is they're not attracting, the family.
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth right now. How dare you?
If I could fight someone through a computer screen right now, D, I don't know.
How dare you? Robert Pattinson.
Won't you ever besmirch the good name of Robert Pattinson again?
You didn't even spell his name right, D. That's a little inside joke from Patty Rican over there. He likes to point out that stuff. Anyway, that's kind of what I feel like. I just feel like AEW fans are more vocal on the internet than they actually are in, that they actually are like live in the audience. And it's sad to see, man. It's sad. But since you brought up his name earlier, why don't we jump right into the mid card? Roman Reigns in the Bloodline. You believe that it's run its course. As you just said to me, show your work.
It just feels stale to me. I just don't think they've done anything interesting since, like I said, since SummerSlam.
Okay.
Or before SummerSlam. Like, I think that match was It was all right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was like where do we have to go?
I mean,
Like
we're
now
watching
Jimmy's
it.
back in the bloodline.
Yeah.
That's kind of stupid.
Why?
Like why?
He's the kicking dog. He's the dog that Roman's going to kick around, and he just
But why
wants
would you want to do? Why would you want to be that? Why would you do that?
because it's working. It's going to get us to Jimmy versus Jay is the main event of
Why?
night one of
But if you're
WrestleMania.
Jimmy, I'm saying like make it make sense to me. Why would Jimmy sign up for that?
Because he's lost. His brother left him.
Mm.
He needs somewhere to go. He's had his
So the
whole life
bloodline's
as a
like
twin.
it's like a cult now. He's Sean Hunter and he needs the hugs, so he's at the center.
Sure, if that's the way you look at the story, then that works. Then you found a way to enjoy the story your way.
Maybe. I just like at some point it was a great story. They've told a great story.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's one of those movies where like okay, it's Saw. Like the first couple were and then it jumped the shark. Like we've had too many sequels at this point, I feel like.
Yeah, I actually compare it to the Scream saga. Like
Sure,
we
works.
got the first couple, and the first couple were like banging. Like wow, Scream 1 and 2 were amazing. The villains were great. And then we got to Roman Bridger, being Sydney's brother, and it was just like,
Let me just stop you before you do something terrible. You will not insult Scream 4 and Emma Roberts in any way, shape, or form.
No. You're not
Okay.
you're not even getting.
You're on 3. Okay, I'm just stopping you before you get there.
Then Scream 3 was kind of like that SummerSlam, right? And then we came back with Scream 4, and it was like, oh, okay. And then Scream 5 and 6 have been better than all the other movies.
Okay, I haven't seen the last 2, so I'll have to check them out.
Just unbelievable. Even the heroine just being better than Sidney Prescott. Everything. That's what I'm seeing in Roman Reigns right now. I think that him coming back, jumping right into a feud with LA Knight, the hottest guy in professional wrestling, it makes sense. It's like, let's jump in here and let's do that. And that's why I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. And as I said to you the other day, like, this doesn't work. I don't know if their ratings stay this high if they put the title on Homelander. I just don't think that Cody could do this as world champion. He needs to get this faith behind him. It would feel like a knee-jerk reaction. We need Cody to have these failures.
No, I agree, but
yeah,
he's had a year of them now, or he's coming up on a year towards Mania.
Yeah, but
that should be when it ends.
But they have the actual evidence of this working. Roman Reigns lost 2 times at WrestleMania to Brock Lesnar, and he finally beat Lesnar at SummerSlam. Now, obviously, he only held the title for a couple months because
nobody cared. They didn't care about him at that time.
Exactly. Roman was the guy. He was the guy selling merch. He was the guy that people would wear the little hand thing. He was that guy. But wrestling fans were like, he's John Cena. Now he's not John Cena. Now he's better than John Cena ever was. He's better than Hulk Hogan ever was. He's on another level. He's etched himself into Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling.
Well, and I'll agree with you there. And as I said in my TikTok, my issue is not with Roman Reigns. It's the fact that Roman Reigns has been world champion for 3 years and it doesn't show any signs of stopping.
Yeah. And I mean, I look at it as right now, I think Roman is, and as we said, as we were talking about proof with AEW, like the fans don't show up and they don't, however we went about it in the opening match, when we were talking about it, like we need to talk about it in the opposite here in WWE. When Roman comes on television, it's the highest rated show of that month. And when Roman has a segment, it's the highest rated segment of the night. And, he comes out with a new shirt. I saw that shirt all over Monday Night Raw yesterday, his new shirt with like the goat in the background. Like everything he does, he's the most clicked superstar. Everybody wants him and he's sticking to wrestling. And he's not doing outside projects. He's not like, there's no movies coming out. There's nothing like, oh, Roman's going to be in this. Roman's going to be in that. Like we know Seth Rollins is in the next Captain America movie. We know that he's one of the villains in the next Captain America movie, but Roman didn't do that. Roman's there. And now he's like, I'm going to help make LA Knight. And LA Knight doesn't need to win to be made. He can lose because Roman's a bad guy and he's going to cheat to beat him, which is going to help LA Knight get more over like it did for Cody. He cheated to beat Cody at WrestleMania, and Cody's more over now than he was the year he came back.
Yeah. Yeah. Is he? You think
Oh
now at
yeah.
this point?
Oh, no question. If he's out there with LA Knight, Cody's getting the chance. And LA Knight's supposed to be the hottest guy. Cody's that dude. Like, fans love
I
him.
agree. I'm just.
Mhm.
I mean, he was that guy leading into Mania too, and
Mhm. But we're all waiting for him to finish the story, right? Like the
sure.
story. That's what everybody's waiting. We're waiting for him to win the WWE Championship. When is it going to happen? Is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen like, how Dusty didn't do it at Starrcade, but he did it at another pay-per-view? Like, is it going to happen like that? Or is he going to get his WrestleMania moment? We have no idea.
True.
Paul Heyman said we were in the third inning. Or Roman Reigns said we were in the third inning. And then Cody Rhodes came out and said we're in the middle of the game now. So we're getting there. We just have to be patient.
Right. So I guess the thing.
That's a comment.
Yeah. It's something.
I mean, I don't know, man. There's lots of kids that dress up as him. There's people sending him TikToks like of their children dressing up as him. There's he's gonna be in. They just made a skin, whatever that is, for Fortnite, where you could be Cody Rhodes fighting in Fortnite. I mean, he's the guy. There's nothing like that for LA Knight. There aren't children dressing up. LA Knight is more so for us. He's for adults. Like Cody's for children, and we have to remember that WWE is children first. That's why John Cena was so popular for 15 years because
Why John Cena never turned heel.
Yeah, that's why Bianca came back and immediately saved Charlotte Flair because she's got to be the babyface. She has too much going on outside of professional wrestling that matter.
Holy shit, is Charlotte a babyface?
Yeah, she's been a babyface for a good 6 months now.
How?
I don't know. Fans love her. They're cheering for her. Nobody's booing her. She's providing good stuff. She's not oversaturating television. She's not holding a championship. She's putting over Io Sky left and right.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. I just thought that the hate had gone far enough that she couldn't really do that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, she's
because
doing
working
really
as a
well.
babyface going into Mania, like she had no sympathy whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree. Everybody wanted Rhea to be the champ. They were rooting for the bad guy. Mommy's it.
My point with Roman though was like, and I said this in my TikTok, his last few feuds, like going into like I'll just use this year, Rumble, KO, the title's on the line, but it's more of a personal issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sammy, title's on the line, more of a personal issue, really.
Mm-hmm.
Cody was about the title.
Yes.
And then it's all been family stuff since then. So my point is he could be the same guy, and I don't think he needs the title.
But as I said to you yesterday, I think the title is only relevant because it's on Roman. And another thing I said last night is if Roman drops the championship, whoever he drops it to, Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, just pick your poison. Whoever you think is going to beat Roman, right? I think that Seth Rollins immediately becomes the top champion in the company. Right away, people will be like, oh, that's the guy. It's not this guy. It's that guy. That's the guy.
That doesn't make any sense. Why would that be when the guy, whoever that guy is, just beat the guy who was the guy for years?
Because
Seth is amazing. Yeah.
Do we know that LA Knight, if he wins the title in 2 weeks at Crown Jewel, do we know that he's going to continue to skyrocket to the top? Or did they just...
No, I wouldn't even have made that match, but that's me.
Well, I think that match needed made because I think this is like the match that never happened. That's what I'm looking at it. This is the match that never happened. We saw the crowd pop for a moment. And it was like, oh shit, like... I can't, like, Jericho WWF champion? I didn't know I wanted this so much. And then people clamored for years until he won the title, but they did it too quickly. They did it so abruptly, so weird the night he won it. And then they stuck him in a feud where he was picking up dog shit. And I think, it's one of the, literally picking up.
No, I understand. But
yeah. And then
pretty much sums up his title run, yep.
Yeah. And then it's like, but it was that moment. It was like that, okay, The fans want this. So let's say LA Knight gets a 3 count, but Roman's foot's on the ropes and the ref calls the 3. And right as they're about to announce LA Knight as the new WWE champion, a ref runs down and says Roman's foot was on the ropes. They restart the match, but before LA Knight has a chance to celebrate, the crowd is rocking. And the Bloodline just beats the shit out of him. And then Roman hits him with a spear. When the match gets restarted, he pins him. But we saw the elation in the crowd. We saw what we wanted, a title change. We saw Roman lose. Then, as the Bovada odds makers have LA Knight as the favorite to win the Royal Rumble, then it makes sense. But if LA Knight goes into the match and people don't really care, there's no traction on social media, and it's like kind of like how you feel. Like, why put him in this match if he's not going to win? You know what I mean?
To be honest, you just sold me, but I don't trust them to do that or anything like it.
Yeah, of course not. No, as the professor says in the Biconics all the time, if it makes sense, they're not going to do it. So that's one of those things. Like
so stupid.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. When I look at this is how I would book. This is exactly how I would book it. Is I would have him win the match, but then not actually win the match. I think that would be great.
Right. So like he gets the 3, like you said, the other ref comes out. He's arguing with the 2 refs, and then when he turns around, bam.
Yeah.
Just like the kiss from Brian to AJ, and then bam.
Exactly. We get a Samoan spike. We get a super kick into a spear. Like let's make it so crazy where it's like he has to it took all 3 finishers to beat this guy. I think that would be a great way to get him to the next level. But we don't know if they're going to do that. But before we jump into our intermission, we wanted to touch on one thing. So, Tyler, this is kind of a tease into our main event of the evening, but you have a problem with long title reigns in pro wrestling. Why don't you share with the class?
So long title reigns are fine. When we have to set the record and talk endlessly about how many days someone's been champion, that's when it becomes stale to me. So like, and I won't use Gunther as an example because he's an excellent Intercontinental Champion, and I will not insult the man. But like, I'll use Roman again. Like, I'm just tired of it. I just want to see somebody else.
So does it bother you that AEW has started pointing out how long Max has been champ?
Like I said, I wonder where they got that from.
Yeah, but
also he's only been champion for less than a year.
Yeah, but his title reign is probably bottom 2 in the whole company. Like he's probably got the same title reign as Adam Page.
I don't think Adam Page's title reign was that bad, personally.
But in terms of all the people that held the championships, it's probably that low. If we're just kind of looking at CM Punk's title reigns that they never happened.
I'm just trying to think of what about Hangman's title reign was bad. He had those bangers with Bryan. He had a banger with Adam Cole. But anyway, and I don't see this one as being that bad either. I think it's to me the low point would be Jon Moxley's third reign. The one where he won the tournament and then he was only champion to drop it to MJF. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I look at Max's whole reign. Like it's just been like, it's just I don't think he's transcendent enough to be a champion for a year. Like if he was a heel the entire time, I'm the worst guy in the business, I believe that his title reign would be better. But I think the fact that they transitioned from heel to babyface and they made him kind of like best friends with Adam Cole, I think that's what really hurt him. It hurt his story. It hurt his character. And also, as I said, he can't cut a promo without mentioning the other company, and he can't cut a promo without thinking he's Andrew Dice Clay and needs to drop an F-bomb every single time. Like, it's, eventually you have to show us Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I don't need to see Ric Flair or Andrew Dice Clay. I need to see MJF. I need to see what you can provide. I don't want to see you marking out. Like, when I watch the FTR, I think they suck, because when I watch them, I feel like I'm watching the Brainbusters. I feel like I'm watching the Heart Foundation. They're just out there being marks. I don't even think they're very good at what they do. They're very boring. That's how I look at Max. He's boring.
I don't know how to like respond to that without like making you mad.
I don't what did I say about
like
about what?
have
About
you
Max?
have you ever heard both of them? Have you ever heard the it's like a meme, but it's like that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I think in this case that's what that is. It's that's your opinion and you're entitled to it.
Yeah, 100%. It is my opinion. The only difference between my opinion of Max and FTR and your opinion of Roman Reigns is that there's millions of fans that love Roman, and there's literally a handful of people that are excited that he grabs a microphone.
But like that handful of people would be the people that are watching that company, right?
Yeah, sure. But when it's not providing money to the company, is it helping? Or is it doing what Logan Paul said about Ricochet? That's a really great comment. That's great for TikTok. That's a good 90-second segment. That's how I look at Max. It's all about clipping his comments during a promo so they can get views on the internet, but it's not giving them money. He's not selling more shirts. He's not doing more in terms of.
So you're saying he
bringing
should be in
people.
WWE?
I don't think he would survive in WWE. I don't even think he would survive in NXT.
But he cuts the promos that they can clip, the 90-second clip that people will click on the internet, and that's all WWE cares about.
So this was said to me before the show, and I'm actually going to use it here, but there's a perfect comparison to MJF. He is EC3 in TNA. EC3 in TNA was the most over guy. He had the best promos. He had the best segments, the best video clips that were recorded at his house and all of these things. He was the guy. And then he went to WWE and he couldn't do anything.
Right, but I think a lot of that has to do with the guy behind the guy.
The guy behind EC3?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that?
I don't want us to get sued.
Okay. So what you're saying is that the person that created the EC3 moniker in TNA is the reason for his success in TNA. Once he was away from that guy in WWE, he didn't
No. I think it has to do with the performer himself.
Oh, okay.
Him not working within the WWE structure because of the type of person he is.
Okay. I understand.
He's choosing his own narrative now,
Yes. Okay, I understand what you're saying now. I guess I just look at it I look at it as when I see Max, I just don't know. Like, there has to be a point where you show us I can be successful anywhere. What I do can translate to any company. And I just don't think he can. Now, if you told me that Max left AEW and decided I'm going to New Japan, 1,000% he's surviving. He's going to be like the cleaner. He's going to be like Jay White. He's going to work.
Yeah,
it's going to be
I
amazing.
like that. I want to see that now. Damn you for saying that. I want to see that now.
Yeah, but then if you tell me he's going to WWE with structure, you have to say what I put on this piece of paper. You have to wrestle the way I want you to wrestle. No, I don't want you to win a match with a headlock takeover. No, I don't want you to win a match with a roll-up. I want you to win with your finisher. I want you to pull this guy's tights. I want it to be a reason you win, not so you can cut a promo after and be like, I just won a match with a headlock takeover. It's the second time I beat Darby Allin that way. And then literally nobody's talking about it next week. That's my point. He's just not transcendent.
And see, I think all the things that you just said are everything that's wrong with WWE, where there's no room for there's no room for yeah. Sorry that. Let me regather my thoughts after that.
Wow.
There's no room for the performer to, you know, put in their own personality or their own. There's just no room for improvisation.
Yeah.
It's hard, fast structure.
Yes, because if you watch,
they need structure, but there should also be room for extremely talented people to you know, do their thing.
and I'm sure they do give leeway to people like a Cody, a KO, a Sammy, a Roman. I'm sure guys that have earned the trust of the company have gotten that. But I think that you can't give it to everybody. You have to earn that trust, which is something that, you know, some people just don't have. You can't just let Carmelo Hayes go out there and cut a promo and then realize the crowd isn't into it and then just be like, oh, I'm going to shift this way. And if he does do that, the crowd better pop. The crowd better be excited for what you have to say, or else you're going to pay for it backstage.
So instead, you take this promo that they wrote for you that the crowd's not into, and you just die with it.
Yes, that's what you have to do, because that's how the WWE machine is run. Most of the time, they have their hand on the pulse.
I just can't get behind this company anymore. I just can't. I'm sorry.
I mean, but they're doing record everything. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and list them because we did that last night on the telephone, but they're doing record everything. And it's been pointed out that their gates have been insane. Like, they're literally selling out everywhere. Like, the moment they mentioned LA Knight versus Roman Reigns, a report was posted that they had to add like 10,000 seats to that place in Crown Jewel. Like, they had to restructure the event. Like, I get that you can't get behind them because, like I said yesterday, I think you're a fan of Blumhouse. You're a fan of A24. You like the indie film, and they are, you know, Disney. And that's not something you're interested in anymore.
No, that's not true. But that's not true at all. Like, I just don't think everything can be that.
But they are not everything. They are one company. If you want,
but everything they do is that. That'd be like if Disney put out like 30 movies a year, or however many. No, well, there's 52 Raws, 52 SmackDown. So, like, for example, their numbers are they're doing record gates or whatever, but part of that's going to be because tickets probably cost more than they did in the past. Everything is bigger and better now. Like, I don't think it's because they're doing things well. And I say that, but then they have such good, like, their PLEs are so good.
Yes. Like, they just cracked the code. They just had a PLE with 5 matches. And it was awesome. They just had a PLE with 5
that
matches.
one was a little underwhelming for me, to be honest, but
you've already stated on here that you can't get behind a company. So if you're going into it with that mindset, you're not going to enjoy what you're watching.
No, I went into it with the mindset of they didn't have anything interesting booked, and it was going to be what it was.
Okay. So I grew up watching adult movies, not pornos, guys. Adult movies with my dad. He didn't really sit me down, and I didn't watch like Lamb Chop, or I didn't watch like Barney. Like, my dad would sit me down at like 5 years old, and I would be watching Commando. I'd be watching First Blood, Cobra, Nighthawk, Dirty Harry. These are the movies I would be watching, right? When I watch a movie like that, I'm not expecting, like, you know, The Departed storytelling. I'm not expecting The Green Mile. I'm expecting to see Arnold Schwarzenegger just be awesome in the movie and be like so funny, where I'm going to be saying, like, you know, don't disturb my friend, he's dead tired. Like, that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting this shitty puns, like the
But you're telling me that Arnold is better than those other movies at this point.
Well, that's what when I go into those movies, that's what I'm expecting. So when I watch WWE, this is what I'm expecting. I'm not expecting to watch Jay White versus Damian Priest and for it to be better than Bryan Danielson versus Andrade. Like, that's not my goal when I watch a match like that. My goal when I watch a match like that is I'm like, how is this going to further the story? Is Cody going to come out and he's going to attack Damian? Is Jimmy in the crowd somewhere and going to come attack Jay? You see what I mean? When I watch WWE, I'm looking for the story of the finish of the match. When I watch, Andrade versus like Rusev, like that looks like that's going to possibly be the next feud because of the whole CJ Perry thing. Like, I'm looking for that match to be a banger because both of those guys can go. That's the difference.
Yeah. I guess like it makes me sad because they're doing so much well.
Yeah.
Hey yo.
We got our sister network over there working the marks in the chat here. Welcome to the show, my guys. So that's my point. When you watch WWE, you have to remember it is entertainment based. It's all storytelling. It's all driven specifically for a crowd that wants to watch entertainment. If you're a fan of Lost, if you're a fan of House, this is more for you. But if you watch AEW, you're watching because you want to see what person A versus person B, and you want to see them tear the house down. That's exactly what you're looking for.
Right. So here, I guess the best way for me to put it, and it has to do with all these long title reigns. It seems like WWE hasn't really progressed for a while. It seems like they're kind of in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, I think it doesn't seem like the story's moving to me.
Okay. I was a butcher for 21 years. And when I learned how to make sausage, like literal sausage, we're not talking like a metaphor. When I learned how to make sausage, the recipe for country sausage for the company I worked for was salt, pepper, sugar. I'm not going to tell you the dimensions. And I'm not going to tell you how much pork because I don't want to get sued. But it was salt, pepper, sugar. That was it. The binder, the mixer was just water. Just add a little bit of water. And the sausage was phenomenal. Everybody that is the most popular thing in the entire case. One day I was like, hey, man, let's change it up a little bit. Why don't we change the color? Let's add paprika to it. Just to kind of give it that little bit of red, a little bit of smokiness, right? And the owner of the company said, no, if it's not broke, don't fix it. It's selling. It's the absolute best seller we have in our menu. So let's keep making it that way. And to this day, still, I still talk to people at that company. It is still the most popular thing. Like you never run out of it. It never goes bad. You have to make like 100-pound batches a day in smaller stores and like 400-pound batches in bigger stores. That's how much people buy it. They buy it like 5 pounds at a time. They eat that shit up. That's exactly what's happening with WWE. Everything they're doing, they're eating it up. And they do give us different things like Logan Paul. Like now he's going to be the United States champion. That's different. We've never had a celebrity champion in WWE. We've had it in WCW and it didn't work out well because they ruined Diamond Dallas Page's title reign doing that. But this is different. This is a story that's being built. This guy's been given, like he's producing great matches.
Is he going to be on TV? Is he going to defend the title?
It sounds like that he's in it for a little bit. He just talked about it last night. He's going to be defending the title on Raw and SmackDown because he's
and I'm good with it because he's a good worker.
Yes. That's the thing. We're getting something different.
But like how many times have we seen the combination of Sammy and Cody and Kevin versus some form of the Judgment Day in the past 6 months?
See, now this is something that I can get on board with your thinking because the way I look at it is that WWE forgets that we have the ability to watch things on Raw and SmackDown. And I think they treat those matches like territory days. Like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat once said that he worked Ric Flair like 3 times a week for an entire summer for different events. And it was like, yeah, that sounds amazing. I'll watch that match all day, every day. It's Ricky the Dragon. It's Ric Flair. I'm sure they were amazing matches. The problem is we couldn't, here in Pennsylvania, I couldn't watch it if it played in North Carolina. there in Florida, you couldn't watch it if it played in Chicago.
Right.
But that's how WWE treats these main events. It's like, hey, you didn't watch Raw last week, so here, watch last week's main event this week. That's the issue.
Right, and they're all great workers, and they have great matches. It's just like we're watching the same thing over and over and over again.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you there. That is a problem that I feel like they need to fix.
So I think
Right.
that's where my point is.
Yeah.
So you said something about a spelling error now. Would that be a good time to bring one up?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
My name is spelled wrong in the banner.
Oh yeah, what the heck? It is. It's Taylor. What the heck? Oh man, it's Tyler.
Sorry,
Tyler. All right. Well, now that's a good segue. That's a non-wrestling topic. Let's jump right into intermission, guys. We have 4 nice little things for you in wrestling. So Tyler, why don't you kick us off with today in pro wrestling history?
Okay, today in pro wrestling history, I'm only going back 3 years because I can't believe this is a thing. Ken Shamrock was inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame.
Wow.
That's not what I can't believe.
Oh, okay.
What I can't believe is, do you know who inducted him?
Tito Ortiz?
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, I do not remember that. I know that they used to lend out talent for
It was like
things
via
that.
video. I mean, I guess Rock does what he
Wow.
wants.
Well, it's the least he could do with him after like completely ruining his brain with that chair shot. But to be fair, Ken Shamrock did ask for the chair shot.
Yeah.
So,
He's a special one.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so my pop quiz of the week, Tyler, is how many times? All right. How many, and this is extra credit, how many times has Edge been WWE champion?
WWE champion, so not world heavyweight.
Not world heavyweight.
That's. Give me a minute. And he won it from Hunter. Won it back from Jeff. 4?
Yes, sir. That is the answer. Absolutely correct. Beautiful. For extra credit, can you name the people he beat for the title?
There we go.
There you go.
Appreciate it. Yeah. He beat Cena when he cashed in.
Yep.
Cena and RVD in the triple threat.
Yep.
Triple H and Vladimir Kozlov in a triple threat.
Mhm.
And Jeff Hardy.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. All right, man. Do you have our promo of the week?
I do. Give me 1 second. So the promo of the week, and I gotta read it because it's a Ring of Honor one from 2007.
Oh.
It's Jimmy Jacobs. The title is "And the Hero Gets the Girl."
Oh, okay.
Jimmy Jacobs, extremely underrated. Anyway, Jimmy Jacobs says, "My favorite movies have always been the romantic comedies. You know, the teen ones, so predictable. You always knew how they were going to end. Whatever conflict they had, on prom night, it was all resolved. Always on prom night. I've always kind of thought of my life as a romantic comedy, but this past year, the romance has given way to violence, and there hasn't been anything comedic about it. I kind of wonder how we got here, because it wasn't much longer than a year and a half ago that you and I, BJ, we were like this, tag team champions. For every match behind the curtain, before our music played, you'd give me a hug and say, 'I love you, little brother.'
Mm-hmm.
What does that even mean? When I found Lacey, a woman that I love, instead of being a big brother, you walked out on me. You turned your back on me. What, I wasn't paying enough attention to you? My priorities shifted? So you walk out on me? Is that love? Is that brotherly love?" So a year ago here in Detroit, you almost killed me. I came 6 inches away from my head splattering all over the concrete floor. And from there, this past year, the violence has only escalated. You took pints of blood out of my body, years off my life. Most of all, you took my innocence, you miserable son of a bitch. I used to be a happy-go-lucky kid, in love with the world, in love with Lacey. Me attack the world, carpe diem, seize the day. Now there's days that I don't get out of bed. I lay in bed at night and I can't sleep. I don't count sheep. I count the number of ways I can hurt you, the number of ways I can end this. I visualize in my head, so maybe, just maybe, I can go back to how I was, happy and innocent. I don't think that's a possibility, though. How'd we get here, BJ? You brought us here, locked inside a steel cage, like a zoo animal, like a sideshow freak, like a caged bitch. You brought us down here, but I swear to God I'll bring us the rest of the way. Sure, the match will end when the ref counts 3, but it's not over until one of us can't get up of their own volition. It's not over until one of us can't stand. I'm not going to shake your hand. I'm not going to hug you as a sign of mutual respect, as a sign of closure somehow. BJ, it's prom night. It always ends the same. The villain gets what's coming to him, and the hero gets the girl. I love you, big brother.
Nice. Yeah, you always forget that sometimes these guys cut really good promos in like the lower tier companies like a Ring of Honor or a TNA or JCW or JAPW.
Yeah, Jimmy Jacobs is a guy who just, I think because of his size, probably never got to be on the main screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
But
happened.
he's written for both companies.
Yeah, that happened with a lot of guys back in the day, like a Tom Carter, Reckless Youth. He was like a hot commodity on the indies, and then he made it to WWE, and he never quite translated to that. But guys, my match of the week. We're going back all the way to 1991. We're going to Super Brawl, and it is a tag team match between the Steiner brothers and Lex Luger and Sting. And guys, you need to go watch this match. This has to be one of the best matches I've ever seen tag team wise. I mean, me and Tyler are actually we're big fans of tag team wrestling. I'm more so a fan of full on tag teams like the Steiner brothers. They are one of my all-time favorite, probably top 3 all-time. But on this match, there was a really great comment I wanted to read you here. I'm giving it, so it was by Barber Bagel, this comment on this match, and it says, "This is a great example of a match gradually escalating to a fever pitch. Both teams relatively friendly in the opening stages before it explodes and they just start bombing each other." I mean, guys, please go back and watch this match. It is on Peacock, Super Brawl, and the entire WCW. Wow. D dropping like massive, just like telling everybody your age. Watched it live. Oh my God.
Like in the arena or on pay-per-view?
On cable. He did say next on cable.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so this match is phenomenal. It is, I believe PWI had it as like the top. It was either the top match of the year or the top tag team match of the year. But either way, it was definitely touted by a bunch of people. I believe this is Dave Meltzer's only 5-star match. If you care about that type of stuff, I'm more along the lines of Christian. I don't think ratings matter. But anyway, guys, on to the main event of the evening. This is going to be a hot one. Tyler has a lot to say. So let's get it. Let's get the story presented before we get going. Earlier this week, I posted a TikTok about Seth freaking Rollins, where it was stated that for the past 4 years, we were bitching and moaning on the internet. We want Seth Rollins to be world champ. We want Seth Rollins to beat Roman Reigns. And we got what we wanted. He's the champ, guys.
No, he didn't.
He wrestles every week. He shows up every show. He's there all the time, cutting promos. Everything that you guys don't get in Roman Reigns. And for the past 3 feuds, all anybody wants is for him to drop the title. How does that make sense?
Okay, so here's my theory on it. It makes sense because in 2 of the cases, a loss and losing the title doesn't hurt Seth at all. It's like a mosquito biting you or me. But what it does for the other guy could be tremendous. It could make a career. Mm-hmm. Could make another main event star. And in the case of Finn, it doesn't even really matter that he lost because he's in the Judgment Day and he still goes back to main event storylines. So I'm almost over that bitter disappointment that you convinced me was going to happen and then it didn't. See, it's all his fault, really. But in the case of Nakamura, it just kind of knocks him back into the mid card, and I just think he's better than that. And I think that's what a lot of people think. They think, oh, it wouldn't hurt Seth a bit to lose, but Nakamura losing convincingly here just shows that he's not on that level.
Okay, so before I give my statement, I want you to answer a question. I wrote it on here on the notes that I did send you. Is Seth suffering from Roman Reigns and Gunther's record-setting title reigns? Do you believe that them holding the title for a long amount of time and setting new records, do you believe that people just want to see a flip in the title?
It's possible. I think they probably see this as one that we could get a change from because we're not in an established reign where we see a pattern. Mm-hmm. I mean, I already think I know where it's going, but that's not established yet.
Okay.
Because I think Gunther wins the Rumble, and I think Seth drops it to him at Mania.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope that doesn't happen because I really want Lesnar to retire properly and put over Gunther at WrestleMania. That's the match that I feel like Gunther has talked about on radio interviews and podcasts. That's the match he wants, and I feel like before you make a star, you got to give him that moment where it's like, holy shit, this guy just beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Like, now he's coming, and the next year will be his. Like, his entire year.
What if he eliminated Brock last to win the Rumble?
Yeah, that would work too. I mean, it worked for Drew. Drew eliminated Lesnar, and then he beat Lesnar for the world title at WrestleMania. So it could work for Gunther. That's absolutely right. But I don't know if they'll redo that version of the story.
Maybe. Yeah. Dear God, you scared me for a second. I thought you were saying I want Brock Lesnar to retire properly and win the title at WrestleMania.
Oh, no.
I was terrified there for a second.
I think he's done as a world champion. I think he's made that clear. He has no interest in doing that. But when I look at Seth Rollins as being champion, I look at it as it's just a bunch of fans just being unhappy that they're not getting the result they want. They want their guy to be champion. There's a lot of people that are complaining that Shinsuke Nakamura wasn't put over by Vince McMahon. He never had faith in him. He never saw him as a world champion. He never saw him as a main eventer. And he didn't give us this version of Knock. He gave us a Knock who he tried to get him to speak English as often as possible, and Knock wasn't fluent in it, and it didn't translate. And the problem was he had experience with guys like Shinsuke Nakamura because Tajiri got over, and he just let Tajiri speak Japanese. And then we just had somebody to play off of with William Regal. But for some reason, we don't get that with those cats are going crazy. We don't get that with Shinsuke Nakamura. And then with Finn Balor, I just believe that, and I hate to say this out loud because I feel like it's just going to upset you. I think Triple H doesn't see Finn Balor as a world champion.
And that's fine. And we had this conversation last week. I felt it made sense story-wise.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know you say like, okay, but he was acting like a babyface. But I heard this last night when I was listening to Edge on an Old Talk is Jericho. What he said was Michael Hayes taught him that to be an effective heel, you have to believe that you're in the right. You have to believe that your actions are justified.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's what Finn was doing, was justifying his actions based on, no, this happened. The problem was the fans were like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, he's right.
Yes. And I think a lot of people saw that. I think they enjoyed the story. Like, oh, you know, this would be great. And like yourself, you thought like if it makes sense for Finn to actually do it at SummerSlam because that's where he beat Seth once before. And then he'll get a proper title reign. I just feel like I don't think that there's anybody slated right now to beat Seth Rollins. I really don't. I think Triple H, this is his guy. This is the guy that he's banked a lot on. This is the guy that has given him everything that he's ever wanted on Monday Night Raw. He put him through the ringer for the entire year that he ran the company after Vince had to retire abruptly, and by having him lose like every feud. He put him out there with Matt Riddle, and him and Matt Riddle were tearing the house down. He had him put Matt Riddle over. And it didn't bother him. It didn't.
I hate that match so much, but yeah.
Yeah, it didn't bother him. Seth Rollins just kept on trucking, man, and it worked. And he just became the most over guy off of losses. He was losing every pay-per-view. There was actually a stat where he lost like 7 straight pay-per-views, and nobody cared. So, with your point, yeah, you're probably right. He could have lost the title to either guy, but do they really come out looking good? Now, is Finn Balor going to be given that I'm the world heavyweight champion that we all need, we deserve, and this is my time? Or is Rhea Ripley going to be in charge of the world heavyweight champion? I don't think that plays well for Finn. I think it's very reminiscent of Jericho and Stephanie McMahon. Shinsuke Nakamura being
he's not picking up dog shit, but
yeah, Shinsuke Nakamura now him being an independent contractor and being like he cut the promo last night where it was like, who's next? Like, who's gonna release the dragon? Who's gonna do that? Like, who
and if they go that way with him, then I'm excited. But if he just fades back into obscurity, then
yeah, I just kind of look at it as D said this to me before our show today. Gunther is still like a mania or two away from actually being a world champion, and that's because he leads the mid card right now. He's the main guy that keeps the mid card relevant. Now, Gunther is exceptional. 77 title defenses in like 500 days on PLEs, on live events, on television. He's been awesome. He's been the most impressive champion in professional wrestling, I would say, over the past 5 years. Nobody's had a run like him as a champion. But, do you take him out of there and who do you replace him with? It's very hard to do. We just watched AEW struggle with that with the International Championship. They had him drop the title to Mox. They thought Mox was going to be able to go out there, but because of Mox's new style, he's getting hurt a lot. We're seeing him get hurt a lot now. So guess what they did? They put the title right back on Orange Cassidy because OC works smart. He works safe. He's not going to go out there and do more than he needs to. And fans love him. He's one of the most over baby faces in the company. And that's kind of how I look at Gunther. Right now, he's getting over as a babyface and he's a heel. People are so excited to watch him wrestle. Like you said yourself, there's a Cultaholic list where he just wrestled this like in April, and they're already saying that he had the best triple threat match of all time. Like that's kind of one of those like insane things. I love that Seth Rollins is champion. I think it's important. I loved the brand new element of having him and Rhea talk shit to each other last night. It was like, oh, hello. Like, does this mean something for Damian? Does it mean like Drew McIntyre and Rhea are planning to steal that title away from Seth Rollins? What's going to happen? Is it going to be Damian? I mean, is it going to be Rhea and Drew versus Becky and Seth? Is this where we're going with the story? Like, there's so many possibilities. I feel like he's the linchpin. He's the guy that matters.
I guess really what I'm missing is like feuds like Edge and Hardy or Punk and Hardy had back in those days where they might drop the belt back and forth to each other a few times.
Yeah.
Because they're equals and they're just it's just either one of them could win on any given night.
Yeah.
And I just feel like what Seth's title reign has been right now is just beating guys they plucked out of the mid card. And to me, like a match like that, it has to service both guys.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it didn't hurt Finn because he's in the Judgment Day and they have their own thing going. But like a guy like Nakamura, I feel like unless they really keep pushing him hard, it has the potential to just send him back into what's that guy doing?
Yeah, the one thing I will say that's been kind of missing for me from the Seth Rollins World Heavyweight Champion is he hasn't vanquished the guys that have beat him in the past. I feel like that's always something we do with baby faces. Like, how does Seth Rollins not work a one-on-one match with Kevin Owens at a premium live event when KO beat him for like a straight 4 months? Now we're getting him versus Drew, and Drew beat him when Drew was WWE champion. So now it makes sense for Seth to go beat Drew back, for Drew to snap, and you know.
Also, wouldn't you just love to see them have like a 4-month program where they just put each other over and then like maybe Seth comes out on top at the end?
I don't know. You know how I feel. I've labeled it hot potatoing. I'm not a big fan of hot potatoing.
Well,
the
it's
title.
it's one thing if you hot potato it between like with like what AEW did with the TNT title, where like Darby had it this week and Joe had it the next week and Wardlow had it and Hobbs had it, and but when it's between two different guys, I just feel like it means those guys are equals, and like I said, either one of them could come out on top depending on the situation.
But see, that's why I feel like Seth is the champion for a long amount of time, just so they can make the title. The title has to matter. He has tons of title defenses. He hasn't missed a premium live event in 14 shows. He's going to work his 15 straight premium live event. So the title matters just based off the fact that he's working all the time. He's being a fighting champion, which is what he was slated to do. And I just think that we're in an era right now where Triple H is just like, I want to erase Vince McMahon's stuff and I want to set my own records. And Roman's going to be my Hulk Hogan of this era, my Bruno Sammartino of this era. And Gunther's going to be, he's going to erase Honky Tonk Man altogether, that nobody's ever going to remember that guy's name. And Seth is going to be the guy that makes the title so relevant that everybody's going to want to clamor for it like they did for the IC title back in the day. And that's how I look at it. He's just trying to make these titles mean so much. And that's one thing that I would say he's done a great job. Right now, there is more discourse on the internet for people complaining that they want Roman to drop the title. They want Chad Gable to beat Gunther. They want Seth Rollins to lose the title to Finn, to knock to Drew. There's more chatter about title switches than I would say ever before, because honestly, people don't really like this, because when the women's tag team titles bounce back and forth, people were like, oh, these titles don't mean anything because there's a new champion every single week. So,
right, because again, it wasn't like a heated rivalry where they were just two teams swapping it. It was like anyone, like, you know, get the prize at the bottom of the Cracker Jack box and you're the women's tag team champions.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. So I don't know. I think I'm really enjoying Seth Rollins being the champion. I hope that they continue to do this. Now, I'll be 100% transparent here. Next Saturday, if Drew McIntyre wins the title, I'm going to be excited. I'm probably going to post like a 25-minute video about why I'm so excited that Drew McIntyre is the champion. But do I think that's going to happen? No, absolutely not. Because I don't think they care about when Drew gets his moment in front of the fans. I think they want Drew to be champion when they feel like he's ready. So we'll get to that when we get to it. But Tyler, before we go, is there anything you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, I do actually, and we talked about it last night.
Okay.
You posted that one TikTok about like when Roman, you know, he announced he had cancer.
Yeah, this week's the anniversary.
Everyone wanted him to get better, and you're like, well, they're fickle because now they want him to lose the title. Well, I don't think one has anything to do with the other. Like, of course they wanted him to get better. He had cancer.
That's not what I said in my video. I said that the discourse hasn't even been kayfabe. There's like legit shoot hate for Roman Reigns. We forgot that he's a real person.
Right, Roman Reigns the character though, not Joe Anawahi.
Yes, but that's not what people are saying. They want him gone. Like, they want him off their television. That was my video. I even said these words in there. I said the hate for Roman.
I heard that part.
Yeah.
But like, they're not entitled to feel that way? Like, that doesn't mean they want him to get cancer and die. Like, they're still glad he doesn't have cancer.
These are the same people that thought he faked his cancer.
Okay, well, those people are idiots. And they should be called out as such.
I just think that there's a level of like storytelling. Like it's okay to have like 70s and 80s heat, like throw a battery at someone. And I'm not telling you to do that, but that's how it was back in the day.
Don't throw batteries at people.
Don't throw batteries at people. No, don't be Eagles fans. But it's okay to be that type of fan where you hate someone so much you want to shut your television off. That's fine. But for you to go on the internet and just be like, this guy's worthless, he's terrible, like I don't even appreciate what he does in professional wrestling, I don't like anything, because this guy literally took Sami Zayn from the mid card and losing to like lower level talent to having
Johnny
Sami
Knoxville.
Yeah, to have him. Well, don't say that to Sammy. He went on the Austin show and he says that's his most important match of his career.
Yeah, I know. People love that match.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Roman has provided much more than he's taken from us. And I think people need to understand that we need the hero for Roman, and we need Roman to be that villain. Everybody has Batman has the Joker. Superman has Lex Luthor. He-Man had Skeletor. We have these guys. Luke Skywalker had Darth Vader. Yeah, that's a deep cut. Yeah. We have these people. You know what I mean? Edward had whatever the werewolf's name was.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he was the villain of the story. He was the worst part of the whole story.
Absolutely not.
He's a pedophile.
Jacob all the way.
He's a pedophile.
He's a pedophile?
5-year-old child that turned into an adult. He married her.
When she turned into an adult?
That's disgusting. She was still 5.
Oh my God. And
in that same movie, the guy who has the same thing, who was her, he said that he grew into a full person, but he wasn't fully developed. He says it at the end of the fight. That means that child, Renesmee, that's the worst name ever. That's why I'll never forget it. She'll never, ever, oh, hey, it's a wolf thing. Look at this guy. Twilight was great. At least,
Edward is emotionally abusive.
What are you talking about? He didn't do anything. He left.
He did. He made her feel bad constantly because she wanted to be with her friends, and he was possessive, and he was a terrible boyfriend.
He left to Italy so he can get away from her to keep her safe. He didn't want to.
Yeah, and that was really helpful for her too, wasn't it?
She followed him. I'm not saying Edward was a great guy, but he was not the villain of the story. That was the wolf guy.
I'm fairly certain the villain of the story were the vampires that were trying to kill them all. But
they were not the villains. They were just trying to pull people into their cult.
Not a villainous thing to do at all.
No. Listen.
Okay, so
we jumped away from professional wrestling.
Now that we finished Twilight Corner, and you know exactly how manly both of your hosts are. Yeah. Who is the hero in this story?
In Roman's story?
Yeah.
I would have to say that it's got to be Cody. I'm just wondering, and I say this lightly because I don't know if Triple H will do this, but is this the one time he deviates? Does he think LA Knight is just too hot? If LA Knight beats Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, are you going to be angry?
No.
That's kind of how I feel. I don't think
that's a guy that's been in the business and he's worked hard and he's gotten himself over. So yeah, good for him.
But now I said earlier in the show that we need that person to replace Gunther in the mid card. I personally believe LA Knight's a mid carder. I don't think he's a main event level talent.
To me, I agree with you, but at the same time, if he gets his moments, good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. If he becomes the guy, I'm sure that it will be successful and it will work. But personally, for me, LA Knight is just that guy that I feel like could be the next Gunther. He could run the mid card with the Intercontinental Championship.
You know who LA Knight is?
Eli Drake.
And I've said it before. Yes, he is, of course.
Oh, okay.
I've said it before. Mr.
Kennedy. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. He's a better worker than Mr. Kennedy, but yeah, he's good. Yeah, I think when you hurt people, it's really hard to say you're a great worker.
But he really only hurt one person.
Pretty big person.
Yeah. It was definitely the wrong guy to hurt.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is that as much as people want to say John Cena is awful and he buries people, Nakamura dropped Cena on his head on a live SmackDown, and Nakamura apologized, and Cena accepted his apology. Mr. Kennedy hurt Randy Orton in a match, and he got fired for it.
He didn't actually even hurt Orton. He hurt Cena. He didn't actually hurt Orton. He just dropped him wrong. And Orton being don't make me go there.
Well, he's one of the best ever. I don't know what you're gonna.
Yeah, sure, but he's also been less than professional a lot of times.
Yeah, but he's matured. He's fine, and everybody's gonna pop like fucking crazy when he shows up in a couple weeks. So,
yeah, I'll be glad that he gets to continue his career. Like I said, I'm not a fan, but like I don't want to see anyone's career ended prematurely.
yep. Before we go, I feel like our producer will kick my ass if I don't bring this up. So this will be our last topic, we promise, and it'll be a quick one. We're gonna try to wrap up at 1 hour 40 here. So, speaking of rebranding, a phenomenal promo by Impact Wrestling the other day with Josh Alexander and Jordana Grace and Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, as they bring out a box, almost like a treasure chest. And as you go down to the treasure chest, you open it, and total nonstop action is back. TNA Wrestling is back.
TNA
Tyler.
was the treasure. Wow.
Yeah, TNA was the treasure. So, Tyler, what's your opinion of this? Are you excited that TNA is back? Do you think the X division will be as exciting? Do you think who's the champ? Chris Sabin or Alex Shelley?
Is he still the champion? I don't know what happened on there. Not like we run a wrestling podcast.
He beat Josh Alexander.
It's Shelley. It's Shelley then. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So right now they're the world champ, and the Motor City Machine Guns they're both singles champions for the top two titles.
Is the X title? Yeah.
Yes. So do you think they're the right people to lead us back into TNA? And as Dee said, I will ask you this question, and then I'll let you go, and we'll wrap up after you finish. In a year's time, will TNA be the number 2 company in the world?
Love me some Motor City Machine Guns, so I'll say yes to that one.
Okay.
I will say absolutely not to the other one because they're not even close to in the ratings to what AEW Dynamite pulls, or even Collision for that matter. They're not even getting 200K. They would have to get a better TV deal than what they have in order to do that.
Well, look in my eyes. What do you see?
He's not going there.
And if he does, wouldn't that be something?
That would be something.
Like, what would the discourse be if he goes there and then TNA topples AEW? What does that do for Tony Khan? What does that do for AEW?
Well, it's the same thing as like what happens if and I can make this comparison because they are very similar personality like and public opinion like. That's the same thing as okay, what if Aaron Rodgers had gone to the Jets and they win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean that would be crazy.
But it'd be the same thing, right? Like he goes to a place where they're doing all right. They're putting together a decent product. Like the Jets were okay last year, and just is the difference maker. Is he? No, I'm not scared of it. I love it. It would make me watch it.
Yeah, I think it would be really.
You know what? I hope it happens.
I think what would be bigger would be if Punk went to TNA. Their ratings jumped up to over 500K like immediately. They jumped off Access and jumped on a regular television network. And I think what would be really telling is if all of a sudden other people started following him there, like other wrestlers started going there to sign. I think that would be massive. That would be like,
by all accounts, that's not something that's going to happen because, as Roman himself said, like, I don't like the guy. Not a big surprise there, and most people don't. So, do you really think they're going to follow him so they have to work with him?
Well, I mean, Roman grew up in a different mindset. He grew up in a massive family in professional wrestling, and CM Punk grew up with like his best friend, like, and her family. Like,
Right, but
he
like,
grew up
okay,
as a
but
loner.
Seth doesn't like him either, or is he working? Who the hell knows?
That's bullshit.
Because it's
That's
Seth
bullshit.
and
I don't believe that one at all. That's a work.
maybe.
I believe that to my soul. I believe that the Seth Rollins CM Punk thing is a work. 100% think that's a
I
work.
think it's a probability because Seth just loves to work people.
Yeah, 100%.
He's an interesting guy.
All right, guys. Well, that'll be a perfect way. Here, Phil, we talked about you on the show. Hopefully, you'll unblock us, and if you don't, whatever, go fuck yourself.
Maybe Phil can ask Jim Cornette like Seth did about going to TNA, and it'll be like, Phil, people don't go to TNA to get over; they go there to get under.
Yeah. I got to tell you, the podcast, like 83 Weeks, would be hilarious to listen to because the way he talks about TNA. Impact, the way Eric Bischoff does it, would be hilarious. But we'll wrap up right there, guys.
He pro or anti?
Oh, he's anti. He's
Okay.
anti. Yeah, we'll wrap up there, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next Tuesday, and we will, continue to provide content for you daily. Thank you so much for listening. We will try our best to jump back to car pods now that I'm done with vacation, and we will do our typical, car podding later on this week. Hopefully, if Tyler's schedule allows it.
Spoiler alert, we won't.
Oh, well, there you go. All right, guys.
Maybe we'll have to talk about it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, and we're out.
Out.